Hi, so welcome to 5 Easy Steps to Start and Grow Your Monthly Donor Program. Just a quick intro about me. I wrote the book Monthly Giving, The Sleeping Giant, and several wonderful ebooks, and you're going to get a couple of resources after today's webinar as well. And I wanted to start right with the poll. So Abby, if you can launch the first poll, that would be wonderful. So the first question is how many monthly donors do you have? Is it less than 25? Is it between 25 and 100, more than 100, or you're not sure? So if you just type right on your screen. And Abby, I cannot hear you. So just so you know. All right. Hello. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get back to that webinar in to the poll in a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to move right along here. Okay. So we're talking about the 5 easy steps to start and grow your monthly donor program, right? So the first step is that you really want to commit to a monthly.
Eric, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Brilliant.
Yes.
That was
Okay.
terrible. That was very
Yes.
frustrating.
Yeah, I was like, what's going
Well,
on? Yeah. Okay.
I know, me too. Well, as I'm seeing the things or all of the results come in, it looks like right now about 60% of people who are attending have fewer than 25.
Great.
19% have between 25 and 100, and 12% have more than 100.
Okay.
Only
That's
9%
great.
aren't sure, so I'm really proud of that number.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Great. Okay, I feel a lot better now. Okay, so the first step, because we have 5 easy steps, is that you really want to commit to a monthly donor program. It is not a one-shot deal and forget, right? I mean, there's you have to always be asking, and the more you ask, the more opportunities you give your donor to become a monthly donor, the more monthly donors you're going to generate. And that's probably those 12% who have 100 or more monthly donors already have done. So who are these monthly donors really, right? They are typically small donors. Now I know some organizations that have some donors who are giving 100 or maybe 200 or 400 or some even $1,000 a month, but that is not that common. Most monthly donors are small donors. They give less than $100. They're young, they're old, they have kids, grandkids, they're single, they're all over the map, but they're really going to be very, very committed to your organization. They are committing. They're going to make an investment in your organization on an ongoing basis. Why has monthly giving become so popular over the past couple of years? I'd love to say it was because of my book, but that's probably not the case. It's more likely that this is the reason, because the donor retention rates has been declining. So and that trend is still declining unless you do something. Now, what does donor retention rate mean? It means that if you had 100 donors last year, this year, and again, this says 2016, 2017, 2018 rates is very similar, 45, 46%. Is the donor retention is you keep 45 donors who give again a year later. So that's pretty scary, right? You're losing 55 donors every year unless you can convert them to give monthly, because at that point, you can actually increase that retention rate to 90% or higher, right? So you've just doubled your donor retention rate by asking them to give monthly. The other thing is, um, the other thing is that 50% of baby boomers are already giving monthly. That has increased. And the bulk of your donors are probably in that category. The bulk of your donors are probably baby boomers. But even better is that 60% of young donors are also interested or giving monthly. They're used to like subscriptions, Netflix, like Amazon, a lot of these gym memberships. So they're comfortable giving $5 or $10 a month for specific purposes, and they're going to do that on their phone. They also give more money. Let's look at this example. If you have a donor who gives to your annual appeal or your appeals on like every time you ask them, they might give on average $58. But if you can convert them to give monthly, they're going to give you $288 a year. So you've just quintupled the revenue of those donors. So again, it's very, very, very powerful. And the good news again is that most of these monthly donors are already part of your giving pond. They fall right here. So you bring in your acquisition, your new donors, you create a bond with them. So you say thank you, and then they're going to decide where they're going to go. Are they becoming general donors? And then can you upgrade them to higher level to your high value donors, which obviously depends on each organization what that level is. And then major donors, what is that level? But you see your pledge is where your monthly donors fall. So so they're already there. They're up in that higher end. And the other news is you see here this RP, what I call like rest in peace, your legacy. Monthly donors are 6 times more likely to leave you in their will. So they could pop right over to this area here. So they're really in that top, in the deepest part, if you will, of your giving pond. So that's again very, very powerful, right? So that's the key thing. So you need to commit to starting and growing your monthly donor program because you're asking your donors to commit as well. The second piece is you need to prepare. The more you prepare ahead of time, the more likely you're going to like skate through those monthly donor promotions and messaging that you are going to be working on. But you have to prepare, and it sounds silly, but I've seen this time and time again. If you don't get everything, all your ducks in a row ahead of time, then you're doing the start stop thing, and you're not growing your program. So the first thing with preparation is that you want to put one person in charge. It really helps keep your program on the track. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself. It means that you can delegate, but you want to oversee how your program is doing, what the trends are, who's dropping off, who's coming on board. So really, really important that you have that one person in charge to keep the program going. The next thing is that if you don't have this already, and most people probably have this, but the key is you want to make sure that the monthly giving option is part of your one-time giving page. So when somebody clicks donate now, they go to the one-time giving page, and here's just one example. And on that, you have that option of one time and also the option of monthly. And again, the more you stress the importance of joining as a monthly donor, the more new monthly donors you're going to generate. So at the monthly giving, recurring, every donor-based system, every online processor has a different term for it, calls it differently, makes it look differently. So there's no one, one example that I'm going to share with you, but the key is that you have that monthly on your one-time page. Here's another example: monthly, one time, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual. So you have that frequency right then and there. So the donor can choose if they go on this one-time page. The second thing is I recommend that you also create what I call like a monthly only page. And you're going to use that in your marketing and your promotion, you're going to link to it. So you have a one-time giving page with the monthly option on it, and then you're going to have a monthly only page. And here is just one example. So that's totally pre-populated with the monthly option only. You're not distracting them with anything else. The other piece is, and again, every system is different, but I recommend that you make sure that your autoresponder is all set up, your email thank you, the minute the donor hits the button of like make a monthly gift, that is all squared away. And the warmer and fuzzier you can make that, the better off you are. This is an example here, and it shows you what the donor can expect. You will soon be receiving an official acknowledgement letter. So, and again, make this as warm and fuzzy as you possibly can. Again, some autoresponders are really short, others you can be a little bit more flexible. So those are the key pieces that you need to prepare. And also, I highly recommend that you test as a monthly donor yourself first. So make sure that all of the pieces work. Then the next step is that you want to make it easy for the donor, because this is so easy for you, but it's even more important that you make monthly giving easy for the donor. So the key thing is that you want to make it easy to find. So here's an example of a donate now button that links through the pull down menu, and then monthly giving is right below that. So this is just one example. Don't hide it. People say, oh yeah, I've just like started my monthly giving page, and I look at their website and I'm like, well, I can't find it, right? So, and again, you have that donate now. Some organizations have donate now and give monthly right there on the top of their website. The more basically in your face, in the donor's face you have it, the more likely somebody is going to click on it. Include it in other ways to give, right? So if you have an other ways to give page, or if you have a line, like a lineup of all of the different ways that somebody can give, make sure again that it's right there. And here is an example of an organization that says give monthly, and that clicks to the monthly only page, and then join our community of hope, that's the name of their program, is also clicking to that page, right? So again, make it easy for the donor to find. But even more powerful is, how about taking over the homepage altogether? The whole month of February, the whole month of March, you're saying feed a child like Erica for only $6.08 a month. Start monthly gift, links directly to your monthly only page. So again, right then and there, there is no question what you want the donor to do. The other piece is no gift too small. Again, every system is different. Some require you to start with $5 a month as a minimum. Some require you to start at $10 a month at a minimum. If you can get away with the lowest amount possible, I recommend that you start there, because ask small, get high response. And again, you want to give the donor the feeling that they can make a difference with an amount that works for them. And don't worry, you can upgrade the donor later. So no gift too small. Here are just a couple of examples. So you will always give the donor multiple choices, right? And you will always have the other amount there. So again, don't worry too much about like, oh, I don't want to start with $6. That's not quite what I want, because the donor will self-identify what they are comfortable with. Again, I mentioned like the typical average monthly gift is $24 a month, but it does differ by type of organization. Some organizations are seeing like $33 a month. Some, especially like smaller organizations I've seen, are getting like $50 or $55 a month. So again, don't worry too much about it, but do think about the following: that ask small, get high response. If you're looking to generate as many monthly donors as possible, that's the key. That's where I would start. And then, of course, what you're doing in your other fundraising applies here as well. So if you have examples of how a gift of $60 or 75 or $100 will make a difference, well, take that and translate it to monthly gifts. So here are a couple of examples. Your gift of $10 a month will help with medical expenses. 25 a month will do this. $50 will do that. So again, help the donor set the price, and that will make a difference for you. So again, look at what you're already doing in your other fundraising and then translate it to the monthly only ask. And if you can set up this electronic funds transfer, or ACH, in other words, like having the donor transfer money from their bank account, that is even better. That will really, really help improve your retention rate even more. It's also the hardest sell in this country. I mean, I'm Dutch originally, so I've lived here 26 years now almost. And in Europe, giving people your bank account information is almost like a way of life. So people are very comfortable with that. Here, it's not the case, but EFT, ACH is definitely growing. So if you're in the process of like looking at new systems or updating your options, then definitely see if you can add the EFT or eCheck option. And I know QGIF has that option built in as well. So absolutely have that EFT in there. But don't forget, not everybody is totally comfortable yet with clicking that button online. So have a form that they can download, and in that form, give them the options. Here it is. Please charge my monthly gift to my credit card. I'd like to give monthly through my bank account. And then that gives you the opportunity too to have like frequently asked questions. What's going to happen? Will I still get updates? So it's a really cool opportunity that's virtually free. All you got to do is develop the little form and put it online as a PDF that people can download. It's really all about putting monthly front and center. So here it is. Make a one-time gift, become a monthly donor everywhere. And then ask the donor to share. Hey, I just became a member of the Community of Hope. Let me, see, share with others that that's what I just did. You never know what's going to happen. Again, it's free publicity, if you will, and we all love free publicity, right? And then think about using your email signature. So every time you send something to a donor, that donor will see this message, oh, become a rock star today, right? And again, this links directly to the monthly donor only page. So it's, as I mentioned, it's all about building in monthly asks wherever you can. So Abby, I'm going to do another poll here. And the poll is, how many email names do you have? Is it less than 1,000, between 1,000 and 2,500, between 2,500 and 5,000, more than 5,000, or you're not sure? And Abby, I don't know, is there a specific question from somebody I can answer while people are doing the polls?
It looks like everything has been pretty clear so far because we don't actually have any questions yet.
Okay.
I'm sure those will roll in as we start getting into some of the more nitty gritty pieces.
Super.
I'm really interested in that comment about including a link to your monthly page in your email signature. I never would have thought of that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So it looks like you guys are super good at getting emails.
Great.
It looks like 23% have fewer than 1,000, but it moves up to 15% who have between 1 and 2,500.
Yeah.
34 between 25 and 5,000. 18% have more than 5,000 names, which is pretty cool. And then
awesome.
a few people aren't quite sure.
Great. Awesome. Good. Okay. So And the reason why I asked that question is because monthly giving online has really, really grown. I'm actually waiting for the latest statistics. I know everybody's like tallying up how their year end has gone. So really looking at to saying, okay, how has that gone? So last year, sustainer giving was 20% of all online giving. I bet you that has gone up even more. And I get a lot of emails and I've seen a lot of organizations that are really, really focused on monthly giving. So again, the more opportunities you give the donor to become a monthly donor, the more you are going to grow. So start with your email list. And that's very, very powerful. And it doesn't really cost you much in terms of time or resources to do so. It's so easy. You've created that monthly donor only page, so all you got to do is click on it and ask for it. But how about, and I should maybe make that the poll question, like if you have a welcome email series. And again, the trend is that more and more organizations are starting a welcome email series. So the minute somebody went to your website and says, sign me up for your email newsletter, or the minute somebody's made a first gift, then they get a series of emails basically trying to cultivate the donor and then get that second gift as soon as possible. That's key. So again, what we're doing here is like when we're asking in a welcome email, so this is not typically the first email. It might be the second or third in a series. So a couple of days after they made their first donation, they might get a welcome video from the executive director or from a client that you've helped and say, wow, welcome, thank you so much. And then the second or third might be like, well, there's a really wonderful way you can help on an ongoing basis become a monthly donor. And again, you go directly to the monthly donor only page. So consider that as one of the opportunities. If you don't have a welcome email series yet, I'm sure that you're going to create one at some point and then have that option to give monthly built in as one of the opportunities. Again, it's all about trying to keep that donor, right? I mean, we're still trying to get that donor retention rate up. So the sooner you can get them to give monthly, the better off you are. And again, I've been doing this for more than 26 years. So I've seen that, again, those organizations that are able to convert new donors to give monthly right away, they're going to stay for a really, really, really long time. So that retention rate goes up and they're going to generate more money. And again, their loyalty is there and they're going to leave you in their will. So it all ties together, right? So ask in the welcome email and then ask in your email. So I know every organization is different in terms of like how many emails you send out. So look at your communication schedule and see, okay, I might have an e-news and an email once a month, or I might have an email a week, or however many you have, and say, where can I fit in a monthly donor ask? Because you have to start asking, right? So where can I fit that in? So maybe instead of a one-time giving option, you have the monthly giving option in there. So look at your schedule and try to see how many you can plug in. I mean, if you've not done this before, one is more than none, right? So again, just like think about it, like chip away at it. Look at what the options are. And again, the only real difference between the ask for a one-time gift and the monthly gift is that you link to a different page and you may need to describe a little bit more about how easy it is for the donor and put in a couple of examples of monthly gift. This is an organization that they are close to 150 monthly donors right now. They're chipping away. They have a couple of emails a year and they're doing 2 direct mail appeals, very targeted to potential monthly donors. And again, they have been chipping away at it and it's working, right? Everything that you're doing in your fundraising and for your one-time gifts is just slightly different. So again, what I'm trying to convey to you is that, like, it doesn't have to be very complicated. You don't have to change your thinking. It's just like you do have to consider like that smaller amounts are good because they're actually going to be bigger amounts down the road, right? If you annualize it. So again, $10 a month, $25 a month, give those examples and keep chipping away at it. If you're using a challenge, a match in your fundraising, they are very powerful. I mean, there's something magical about matches and challenges. Like, I don't know what it is, but it works. If you have that goal and you get something in return. So in other words, it benefits the organization. The donor feels good. The donor feels like their gift, even if it's a small amount, can make a difference. There's lots of different ways that I've seen matches being done. The one I see is most powerful is if you can say, our goal is to reach 15 new monthly donors or 30 monthly donors by a certain deadline date. And then this is what will happen. So here's an example. If we generate 50 new monthly donors by September 30th, a generous donor will give us an additional $10,000. So have that challenge in there. Again, it's something that people can get their head around. Okay, and then it's like a launch of an email that talks about the challenge, and then there's a reminder and another reminder, and then there might be one more just before the deadline. So, and you can chip away and say, I'm excited to tell you we already have 15 new monthly donors, one more month to go. And this organization had 25 monthly donors when they started, and they're close to 100 now. So again, they're just always chipping away at it. As I mentioned, ask in the first email, have a second email a couple of days later, and then have one more before the deadline, maybe even two. So again, in some cases, that may be a little bit more emails than you're used to, but it's worth it. And again, it's a very finite time frame, right? It's that deadline, usually no longer than a month. So that's, again, something to get your head around, and the donor will understand that. It's like, oh, last chance, right? Match your monthly gift. And then the other thing is, again, some of you already have a fair number of monthly donors. So how about reaching out to them and ask to to become a monthly donor, right? So ask existing monthly donors for a quote. I love being part of the monthly giving club. I want to help. So again, and then listen to what they say and say, wow, I love the fact that you're so excited about being monthly donor, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. Can I use that to reach out to somebody else to invite them to become a monthly donor? And a lot of times the monthly donors are like, wow, I'm really honored to do so. Of course you can use that. And then consider taking a meeting with the monthly donor and bring in your smartphone and say, would you be willing to put that on video? And then can I use that to ask other people to join? This is this particular example, and you see there I left the YouTube link to it, so you can actually go there and listen to it. Is the board chair, but then they also had a young person who was a client who started with $5 a month. So video, of course, is very, very powerful. And then included in every e-newsletter. Always have a little blurb. Have that quote in there from a donor, have that video in there from a donor, and always keep planting the seeds of this option to give monthly, right? It's always there. Always reinforce it in the e-newsletter. And if you have that match going on, put it in your e-newsletter as well. It's a great way to do it. And you have the emails to do it. The other thing is, and I don't know if there's any advocacy organizations, but if you're an advocacy organization, or if you occasionally do like petitions or surveys to your donors or your constituents, this is a great opportunity to say, oh, okay, thank you so much for signing this petition, but now take the next step. Give a monthly gift. So again, having those petition signers make that first gift is a really powerful way to obviously increase retention and also bring in new donors for your organization. They just signed a petition that they're excited about, right? So again, it's a great opportunity that maybe you haven't thought about. So look for that low-hanging fruit. For example, look for your volunteers. Look for, in some cases, our organization are looking at having their staff give monthly, right? And then have any constituents that you may have in your organization that you could ask to become a monthly donor. The other thing is some organizations, I don't think every organization, but some organizations have donors who call to complain, right? Well, if they complain, for example, about too much mail, and in some cases that might even be one mailing a year or two mailings a year, we know those donors. Well, if you get them on the phone, that's actually very powerful. Donors who call to complain care about your organization. Otherwise, they would not call you. So ask those complaining donors, say, well, the reason why we send mailings is because we need to raise money for XYZ. But here's a great opportunity that we just launched, and it's called the Monthly Giving Circle. And, would you be willing to join that? And we'll just send you one mailing a year or no mailings a year, however many times you want to hear from us. But it still means that you are supporting us on an ongoing basis and making a difference. So, and a lot of times when you have them on the phone, the donor says, well, geez, I never thought about that. But yeah, that's a great opportunity. Let me do that. And then if you have a print newsletter, have the option as, mention it in your options to give. 3 ways to help protect, make an ongoing gift, and then on another page, make a greater impact with a monthly gift, right? So it's all about planting the seeds. If you're sending out appeals, have the option to give monthly on your appeal reply form. Again, if donors don't know about it, they're certainly not going to do it. If they can give that way, you might have a few people that do that every time you send out an appeal. So it's a slow growth, but it's an ongoing growth. And that's the key, right? So the more donors will see it, the more they say, oh, geez, that's a great opportunity. I never thought about that, but yeah, that's actually more convenient for me. So again, have that option everywhere you possibly can. And the more powerful, the more you can combine all your channels. So if it's in the mailing, if it's on your email, if it's on the website, in your social media, and I'm not going to show you a lot of social media examples, but all of that can link together. And I do want to mention one word about social media, because again, it's all powerful, right? You've just created that video. Why not put it on Facebook? But whenever you ask donors to go and make a donation for monthly, make sure that they go to your website, that they go to your giving page. Don't have them go to the Facebook giving page, because then you don't know that you don't get all the information. So make sure that you try to keep all of your monthly donors in one bucket, because it's just a lot easier to handle. But it's all about combining your channels and repurposing everything that you've already created. Repurposing is also a great word that I love, because it is very, very powerful to use and reuse again the same information. We get bored by certain things, but the donor may just start like saying, oh, maybe I saw that. But again, so we always worry about that too much, right? So, but combine your channels. The more you ask, the more monthly donors you're going to generate. So Abby, I'm going to do another poll here. This is the last one. So what do you think is the annual value of 300 monthly donors? Is it like $32,000? Is it $54,000? Is it $87,000? Or you're not sure?
Awesome. Well, as people are kind of answering that question, I do have a question. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of a two-part question, but we'll cover the other one later. Jenna Edwards actually asked if you have any opinion on whether or not it is helpful to give gifts to incentivize monthly giving.
Great question. Great question. So the answer is a realist, like a real like consultant answer is it depends. So you're right. So the it depends on what you're doing now. So if you're a very mission focused organization and your appeals are all about telling stories and the like how the donor can be a part of like the solution for your organization and the people that you serve, you don't need a Chotsky to convince donors to give monthly. A match is a better like incentive, if you will, right? If you're an organization that currently uses things like address labels, calendars, note cards, these upfront freemiums, so then you may want to consider testing a monthly giving premium. But you don't, I mean, it's my experience that you don't need a Chotsky to convince donors to give monthly because again, it's all about making it convenient to the donor, right? But it depends a little bit on how your donors are trained. So if they're used to getting stuff in exchange for their gift, if you will, right? Then yeah, you should consider a Chotsky or like something. But again, keep it very mission focused and also keep it very affordable. And do give the donor the option to not have to say, look, save your money. I don't need that that gift, that tote bag, or whatever it is, and make sure that all of the gift goes to support your organization. So that was a little bit of a long answer, but great question.
It makes a
Awesome.
lot of sense. That's a good answer. And it looks like people were pretty studious about filling out these answers, and it seems like opinion is split. It seems like an equal number of people think that 300 monthly donors are worth between 54 and 87,000, and then an equal number of people, 13 to 14%, either thought it was 32,000 or they weren't sure.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Wait, so what? So how many people did was said 87,000?
37% of the people who answered.
Okay. Yeah. So the answer is almost $87,000, right?
Wow.
So that's really, really powerful, right? So if you have 100 monthly donors now, just think about what your gifts are now and how you can get to the next stage, right? This is a small animal charity. They have 2,500 donors. They have 300, actually now they have 350 monthly donors, almost $100,000 a year. So it's not a big charity, right? But they have their, like they have so many monthly donors, and the people are always asking. It's basically volunteer run organization. So again, they're so gung ho about monthly giving, right? So that they are really growing their program considerably, right? So just something to remember. It's very, very powerful. Even 100 monthly donors is $28,000, right? So how do you get them to grow, right? What do you do? How do you get them to stay? Well, it's all about engaging and retaining them. That's step 5. So remember, I said you want to have that one person in charge, right? So I can't hammer on that enough. It's really, really crucial because then you have control. And we already did the autoresponder and the email thank you, so we don't have to worry about that now anymore. But it is a way, of course, to engage your monthly donors. And also, some systems will allow you to stop the monthly receipts. Other systems, you have to keep sending the monthly receipts. You can't suppress it. my recommendation is if you can suppress those monthly receipts and replace it with something else, you're better off. Because again, you can just say a lot more. But if the receipts are there, okay, and you can't suppress it, well, guess what? You're going to have to keep sending them, right? So, but that's just something that again you can tell the donor when they join what they're going to expect, what they can get, and what they're going to receive from then on. So, as I mentioned, you want to tell the monthly donors what they expect. They're going to get news about local progress. They're going to get updates, right? And do yourself a favor. Don't make it too specific. So don't say from now on, once you join as a true neighbor, you're going to get quarterly newsletters or you're going to get monthly this or that, right? So just say you're going to get regular updates because that way, if for some reason you can't get that quarterly newsletter out and it becomes a half yearly, you're fine, right? So create the promises that you are absolutely sure about that you can do. Now, tomorrow, next year, even with limited resources, it's always good to do a surprise, but tell the donors what they expect. Make it easier on yourself. Don't promise something that you are not sure about if you can deliver, right? So just keep it very general. Again, stories, updates, that's general enough because you want to do that. Now, I'm also a very, very strong proponent of the first time when somebody joins that you send them a hard copy thank you letter in the mail. And you can again tell them what they're going to get, what's going to happen. And, again, it's like ideally add that little personal note on it. But this is something that they're going to hold on to. This is something that they will keep. And again, it's like good to have a person there so they know whom to contact if they have any questions, right? And then make it personal. This is something that came out of the blue from this organization. Again, they didn't promise that the donor was going to get this. It was a surprise that they said, okay, well, we get these little paper photo cards, and in it they popped a photo of one of the volunteers with one of the clients, and then a little personal note on it. So again, make it personal, make it something that is unexpected. The other thing that's really important, and again, this sounds silly, but you wouldn't believe what I've experienced over the years is it's really important to have good donor support. It's really important that everybody in your organization knows about these monthly donors and knows whom to direct if there is questions, because monthly donors have questions. Remember, they care about you, right? They're invested in your organization. They're really very similar to mid-level or major donors. They're just not able to write the big checks. That's really the difference, right? So very important to have good donor support, that they can reach somebody, that there's a special phone number or special email address, that anytime they have questions, they can reach somebody to get the answer. And then create a separate segment in your database, create a separate segment in your email program, because then you can do something, again, very special, very powerful. Fred is walking. Wow, I made that happen. Thank you. Thank you. Came out of the blue. And the reality is, because you have that other segment, everybody gets the Fred is walking email. But you have the Fred is walking because you are monthly support, and Fred is walking because of your support with the gift, right? So you can just have the same email that goes to your whole database, except it's just a little bit more specific and a little bit more grateful towards the monthly gift that's in there, right? And also, I mentioned earlier, if you can suppress those monthly receipts, and certainly if you don't need to send monthly thank you letters, but I do recommend that you send a tax letter in January. And again, that gives you the total amount that the monthly donor gave all of their donations for the year just in one total amount. Again, if you can personalize it with a little handwritten note, that's wonderful, right? If you want to pop in a story, absolutely, that's wonderful. And don't forget about the thankathon. Don't forget that you can call donors and say thank you. Wow, you've just joined with $5 a month. That's very powerful. Wow, somebody picked up the phone and said thank you. And it's okay to leave a message, right? So your board and volunteers can totally do that. So include them in your thankathon. Tell warm and fuzzy stories. I said, like, suppress those receipts, but instead say, thank you so much for being a part of the Sustainer Circle. Here is a story, right? Replace it, or create what we call like an impact e-newsletter. Again, you can segment it, and all you do is say thank you so much for being a change maker in this case, and thank you so much for your support. That's really it. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just use the same pieces. And then have a monthly donor retention plan ready. That's really, really key, because unfortunately that's the big problem with monthly giving, is that monthly donors' cards expire or decline. So it's really, really important to immediately alert the donor. So, and again, use your systems. Here's an example of a system that, like, again, 30 days before the card expires, you're getting an alert that the card is about to expire. So you can head this off at the pass, right? Again, so you can get the alert that recurring gift has been declined a couple of times, right? So use your systems and then take action, but don't wait too long. It's really key to go after these donors right away. Call, mail, email, ideally email with a link to the monthly donor page. So that way, again, you're making it easy, because so many people are like getting their messages, or they're like getting their emails on their phone, and it might be at 10 o'clock at night. Well, then they can't reach anybody to leave a message with, but they can certainly go online to make that gift again. I worked with an organization last year, and looked at all of their what we call like billing and delinquency problems and processes. And we found that adding that link to the monthly page, instead of just like having the donor call the organization, increased that retention by 50%. So again, make it easy for the donor to reactivate their gift. Because remember, if their card expires or declines, they don't necessarily realize that's happening. They just got their card, oh yeah, I activated it, or and then they're like, oh man, I didn't tell so and so and so and so that this was happening, right? They just forget, right? So they're not telling you, hey, stop this. They're just like, they forgot. So you're doing them a courtesy by contacting them. So again, just like think about that, like you're doing the donor a courtesy by contacting them and indicating that their card is about to expire or has expired. And then you can implement account updater, right? So again, some systems have this built in the back end. So it takes those cards that didn't go through and hits it against this huge database of updated card information, and then is able to find the new information and process it. And again, the cost is very, very minimal. This is a trend I see growing more and more. So look at your system, ask about the credit card updater, and see if you can activate that as soon as possible, especially as you're growing your monthly donors. That becomes really, or like what some organizations have told me, like it's really a game changer to have this, because it means that they have fewer people that they have to contact. You're never going to get 100% of the information, unfortunately. It's right now it's like 25, 30%. So you still have to contact those those donors that you don't get the updated information. But it means, especially if you have a bigger program, it's fewer people that you have to contact. And another way to engage your monthly donors is by sending a survey. So again, send a survey once a year. Ask them why they're giving monthly. Ask them what type of stories they like or what types of services that you provide they like, right? So ask them a couple of questions. Don't make it a 30-pager, right? Maybe one or two or three questions that you can say, okay, well, hey, I want to get a little bit more demographics. Let me see how many males and female monthly donors I have, right? Again, you have that segment created earlier on. So try to engage your donors by asking them some questions, and they're going to appreciate it. And again, you might get some really great quotes that you can use in your email newsletters or on your website and everywhere else that you're going to start promoting monthly giving, right? So it's all about creating a plan, looking at what you're doing now and saying, where can I fit in monthly giving asks? Where can I fit in monthly giving ongoing cultivation? Where can I recognize my monthly donors? For example, what a lot of organizations do is when it's appeal time, they have that separate segment of monthly donors. They send them the appeal, but in the letter they say, thank you so much for being a monthly donor. I'm sending you this story in case you're interested in making another gift. And that works really, really well. So donors are interested in making an extra gift if you're asking them. So, but again, it all depends obviously how often you mail. So if you're mailing a number of times a year, pick the ones that are the strongest. And typically it's also at the end of the year. That's usually the strongest time. So do not take your monthly donors out of the mail stream or the email stream unless they told you that's what they want to do, right? Keep communicating with them because they really like you. And you're going to only grow your monthly donor program if you're planning, if you're asking wherever you can, and if you continue to say thank you, right? Those are the three elements that you want to have. So how are you going to grow your monthly donors? Here's my challenge to you. Set your goals. You're going to get a monthly giving calculator. You can plug in, it's an Excel sheet. You can plug in your number of donors. You can plug in how many monthly donors you have now, and then say, what is my goal for this year? How many new monthly donors would I like to accomplish? And guess what? There's something magical about writing down goals, right? You will typically accomplish your goals. It's so crazy, but it happens, right? So write down your goals, get some testimonials from your existing monthly donors, and then start asking wherever you can. Do just one more thing that you didn't do last year, just maybe two more things that you didn't do last year, and then email me your results. And I'd love to hear next year, like, how did you do? Did you get from 100 to 200 monthly donors, right? So that's it for me. Here is my information, erica@agerecsolution.com. I'm happy to answer any questions tonight, tomorrow, next month, 5 months from now, half a year, whatever it is. I'm very responsive on the email. And I'm really, really excited about monthly giving, obviously. I mean, I've seen the tremendous power. I mean, I raised millions of dollars with monthly donors, with small donors, right? So it's definitely there. So the key is to begin with the humility of somebody who's not sure, but the excitement of somebody who knows that it's possible. So I'm now going to open it for a couple of more questions. I think we have just a couple more minutes, right, Abby? Hello, Abby.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of questions, and we actually have some really great ones. So,
Okay.
one is actually a question that came up a couple of times. A couple of people asked whether or not it is effective to name your monthly giving program or to name the group of people who have decided to give monthly to you.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
powerful? Is that a thing they
Yes.
should do?
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yes,
Love it.
I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend don't make it a really long drawn out process.
Yeah.
Sit down this afternoon in a room with a couple of people, brainstorm, write it down, and then say, here are the top three. Let's run it by a couple of people. Hey, good to go, move on. So again, don't make this a communications marketing process that's going to take 5 months, right? So again, believe me, I know it. So that's a couple things. Don't use the word legacy. Don't use the word society. Everything else is fair game. And again, I have like lots of examples and whatever. So if you're like saying, hey, I'm thinking about this, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to like use it. But just make sure it's something that fits your mission and it's something that you think you can live with for a long time. And so in other words, stay away from amounts or numbers. Like if this is your 50th anniversary, don't call it the 50th anniversary club or don't call it the 50 club or something, right? Because next year you're going to be 51, right? So don't call it the $15 a month club, right? But give every month, get gems or just just lots of great names and just like brainstorm a little bit, but then move on because it's good to have a recognition and it makes it easier. Like, thank you so much for being a member of the Community of Hope or, Circle of Friends, So, but that's really it, So, um, great question. Yeah. So definitely, I
Yeah,
do recommend you have one. Yes.
that was a very helpful answer. And it kind of leads into a question that we got from Judith. You mentioned previously in the presentation doing a big launch. And Judith wanted to know if you think it's appropriate to do a big launch every time, or should they just start asking people to give monthly and publicize it everywhere without making a formal announcement?
Yeah. So I think that the thing is the big launch is it's more internally. So make sure that everybody in your organization knows that this is going live, right? So and I have examples of organizations that, they created like a little email from the executive director, from the marketing or development director and saying, hey, we're really excited. We're launching this new monthly donor program, the Daisy Club. And, here's the link. And you just like, here's the phone number. And any questions, please direct them to me. Something like that, right? So that's an example of a launch email. And then, yeah, just start chipping away at it. So don't wait till you got to do the big launch, but just say, hey, let me just make sure that everybody who's answering the phone knows about this, everybody in the organization knows about it. And then let me reach out to the volunteers and saying, hey, we just launched this. We want to do this. I mean, I had an organization, they had like 500 email addresses for volunteers, and they did a little challenge and they got 39 new monthly donors from their volunteers with one email, right?
Wow.
So it's all about like so maybe big launch is not the right word. It's just like make sure that everybody knows about it who needs to know about it, so that you don't have this like oh, you want to know more about what, so that's really bad, right? So
Okay.
right, and it happens, so I don't know about that, so so just
Right.
maybe have a little script even at anybody like answering the phone and saying, hey, just want to let you know. But yeah, then just chip away at it. Maybe say, well, I'm going to start with putting something in my email newsletter. I'm going to start with a little piece in my newsletter. So, but sort of like the more you can seep it through everything, the more you're going to grow.
True.
That's,
Okay.
yeah, great question. Yeah.
Um, Speaking of the growth, a lady named Julie asked me about kind of about the demographics of a good monthly donor program. So she works for a college. Her boss is a little leery about promoting a recurring program to all of their alumni
Hmm.
or their alums, but she is interested in focusing recurring giving messaging to their younger alums who have a
Yes.
lower percentage.
Yeah.
Is there a demographic that they should be targeting, or how do
Well,
you
it's
approach
more,
that?
it's really more, I would say for like alums, I mean, if they've given, it's more like what level they've given at. So, if they've not given anything yet, yeah, that's a really good target group, right? Your young alums. I mean, and I can tell you a story where our son graduated from a college. I get their mail, and in that mail was like an article of somebody who just made a $10 million gift. Do you know how that person started? They were a $5 a month alum. Okay.
I love it.
So yeah. So yeah, again, so monthly donors tend to be younger. A lot of times they do still have kids, for example. So so but they're all over the map. They can't the key is that they're not ready to write the big checks. They can
Right.
do little things. So even $5 a month is more than nothing, right?
Definitely.
So I think that's the thing. But again, and I'm happy to share that story. If you want to send me an email after and say, I have that live example, and that's what happened. So no gift too small. I mean, one of my clients, 75% of their legacy income last year came from monthly donors.
Wow.
So again, they're small now. So, it's all about giving the donor the opportunity to give in a way that's comfortable for them. So that's, I hope that's the answer you're looking for. But yeah, they're definitely younger demographics, and it also even depends on channels. So like if you're an organization that's been around for a long time, and if you've done a lot of direct mail and telemarketing, I mean, then you typically will have like, or if you're a religious organization, you probably have older donors, so but they're still willing and able to do it. So, but if you have a lot of alums and they're younger, well, they can do $1 a month. Hey, it's more than nothing, right? So it's just one way to engage them.
And I'll tell this story to you, Julie. I got a call from my alma mater the year after I graduated from college. And they asked me initially for a gift of $250. And I laughed out loud because I graduated at the peak of the recession and was waiting tables at two different restaurants.
Yeah.
So a lot of younger alums may not have the capacity to give that much, but if they had asked me for $10 a month, I definitely would have considered it.
Hmm. Right.
Um, and then I have one more question.
Hmm.
This one is from Judith. If she has many donors who have faithfully given for years,
Hmm.
would it be a good idea to ask them to give a fraction of their current gift on a monthly basis, or should she kind of let them be established once yearly donors and just kind of leave that the way it is?
Okay, so the almost like to kind of like to follow on your message saying like you were asked for $250, right? So the key with monthly giving is that you don't want to ask too high. So if somebody is given $50 a year, you don't want to ask for $50 a month. But the rule of thumb is one third. So if they give $50, you can ask them for $10 or $15 a month, right?
Okay.
And then again, you will always give them the option. So you would still include $50 a month. And some people might want to do it. And then obviously the other amount. If people have been faithfully given in multiple times a year, again, it depends on what their typical gift is. Again, my cutoff is usually $100. So if somebody's given less than $100, that's a prime target group for monthly giving. If they're able to write $500 checks, I much rather want to get them to write a $1,000 check, right? And if you talk to the donor and the donor says, "Look, I wish I could do more," or "Geez, I this $500 check was a stretch, but I could do," then you say, "Well, hey, we have this monthly donor program. Would you consider maybe $100 or $200 a month?" And people will say, "Oh yeah, I can do that," right? So you've just converted them from $500 to $1,200 a year, right? But definitely one third is a good um, benchmark, if you will. And I've seen this for many, many years. That tends to be what donors are comfortable with. I mean, it's always good to start lower, but it's that cutoff like $100 or lower. If they're already at more than that, I would try to upgrade them to maybe you're like a mid-level club or a major donor club. So,
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, if it's past 3, and I want to be respectful of people's time, but if we didn't get a chance to answer your question, I'm going to send Erica a list of all the questions. And she's also included her email here in case you want to reach out to her yourself. I did want to say, if I've had a couple people ask, if you are currently working with QGIV and you have questions about how to apply this to your form, let us know. Our CX team will walk you through everything you need to know. I would have said that at the beginning of the webinar, but apparently I was having some phone issues. So I did want to thank all of you for sticking with us through that. You are absolute rock stars. Literally none of you left when I was apparently unable to speak. And Erica, you were absolutely rolled with the punches, and I'm really thankful for you for responding.
I was
That
like
is
starting to
gracefully
panic over
you
here
did.
though. Like, oh, you know, so I thought it was at my
I'm
end. So I'm
so
like,
sorry.
you know, so no worries. Yeah. Yeah,
No, it
great.
was totally my fault. And I'm doing webinars on my cell phone from now on because that was
Oh
a
boy.
nightmare. Oh gosh. But
Yeah.
everyone, you've been fantastic. Feel free to email us at QGIV or Erica at that email there if you have any questions. Keep an eye on your inbox. I will send you a recording of this webinar and some additional resources that we discussed in this webinar in the next couple of days. And I'll also send you an invite to some upcoming webinars we have in the future. Erica, you have been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks. Have a great day. Go get them.
Bye.